At the 14 wildlife sanctuary, a reckless drunk man broke into a bobcat. He berted, leaving a trail of tracks and one gate wide open. After the incident, a bobcat named Levi vanished. Security footage revealed a drunk man had stumbled into the habitat, thinking he could play with a wild animal like a house pet. But when he got too close, LVG would any terrified bobcat would do. She escaped from the drunk man and vanished into a world she'd never known. For Evie, this freedom was a death sentence, with a permanent limp from an old injury she had never hunted a day in her life and was completely dependent on human care. The search began immediately, but as days turned into a week with no sign of the missing bobcat, hope began to fade. What was happening to Evie? Could a sanctuary bobcat survive when the world is unfamiliar? Before we start, hit the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The security alarm pierced through the humid July night at the Chittanooga Wildlife Sanctuary, shattering the peaceful chorus of crickets and cicadas. Taylor Morrison bolted upright in her anxiety keeper cottage, her heart hammering against her ribs. In her 15 years working with exotic animals, that particular alarm could only mean one thing. Someone had breached the perimeter. She grabbed her radio and flashlight, not buttering with shoes as she sprinted across the dew-soaked grass toward the bobcat enclosure. The beam of her flashlight caught movement. A stumbling figure near the fence and worse, the enclosure gate swinging wide open. He stopped right there. Taylor shouted, but the intruder was already scrambling over the exterior fence, disappearing into the darkness beyond the property line. What Taylor found inside the enclosure made her blood run cold. The carefully designated habitat, complete with rocky outcroppings, hiding caves, and elevated platforms, was in disarray. A red rubber ball lay abandoned near the water feature. But Yev, the son's Tuarez, 12-year-old bobcat, was nowhere to be seen. No, 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 Taylor whispered, her voice cracking as she swept the flashlight across every corner, every shadow, every possible hiding spot. Evie, come on, girl, where are you? The other night Steph arrived within minutes, and soon the Sans Tuarez director Margaret Winters appeared in her hastily thrown on jacket and rain boots. The security footage told a story that made Yeveron's stomach turn. A young man, clearly intoxicated based on BCS unsteady gait, had scaled the fence. Around 11 часов 47 минут вечера. The timestamp shot him stumbling into Levi's enclosure with what appeared to be a ball, apparently thinking he could play fetch with a wild animal as if she were a house cat. Elvie, displaying the intelligence and wariness that had kept her species thriving for millennia, had wanted nothing to do with the stranger. When the man had gotten too close, she'd done what any sensible bobcat would do. She'd bolted through the gate it carelessly left open, vanishing into the night. We need to call Fish and Wildlife immediately, Margaret said, her normally steady voice tight with worry. And the police. Get every staff member here. You're not waiting until morning. Taylor stood frozen, staring at the empty enclosure. We had come to the sanctuary as a 6-month-old kitten after being hit by A car on a rural highway. The injuries. To her left hind leg had healed, but had left for with a permanent limp. That made survival in the wild nearly impossible. For over 11 years, this enclosure had been her home. Taylor had been there from the beginning, building trust one pattern day at a time, learning Yev's particular chirps and chuffs, discovering that she preferred rabbit over chicken, that she loved the sound of rain on the roof of virgin box, and that she would actually purr something, while bobcats rarely did. When Taylor scratched behind her to leave the earth during their training sessions, she's habituated to humans, Taylor said, her professional training kicking in. Even as she threatened, she won't hunt properly. She doesn't know how to avoid dangers out there. Cars, dogs, people who might. She read sure. You find her, Margaret promised, clutching a firm hand on Taylor's shoulder. She shouldn't have gone far. But that first night of searching, Yale did nothing. By down the Chattanooga police department had identified the intruder through the security footage. 21-year-old James Miller had been celebrating Itchy's birthday at a downtown bar and had in Itchy's inebriated state decided that playing with a bobcat would be the perfect end to Itchy's evening. He'd been too drunk to remember her much, but the evidence was irrefutable. The search expanded rapidly. Wildlife officers, sanctuary staff, and volunteers come through the neighborhood surrounding the sanctuary. They set up humane traps beaded with Levi's favorite foods. Taylor personally walked the streets until her feet bled, calling Levi's name, until her voice went hoarser, even though she knew a frightened bobcat was unlikely to respond. Local news stations picked up the story. Reporters stood outside the sanctuary gates, their cameras rolling as Margaret explained that Evipa said no threat to the public. She's afraid of people she doesn't know, Margaret emphasized. If you see her, please don't approach. Just call our hotline immediately. One day passed, 10-2, 10-3. Meanwhile, Evie was discovering that freedom was nothing like she'd imagined. During those rare moments when she'd watched birds flying overhead, seemingly unconstrained, the first night had been terrifying. The unfamiliar sounds, car engines, dogs barking, humans shouting, had sent her racing through yards and alleys, her butt lay-catching with every leap and lunging. She'd hidden under a parked truck windshield, sunrise, painting and trembling. Hunger came on the second day. At the sanctuary, Taylor had always provided meals at the same times each day. Fresh meat, carefully portioned, and sometimes enriched with vitamins. Elvie had never had to hunt for her survival. She had participated in enrichment activities where Taylor hid food around the enclosure. But that was play, not a necessity. Now crouched in the overgrown lot behind an abandoned warehouse, Levi watched a squirrel with intensive focus. Her muscles tensed. She pounced, but her injured leg gave out at the crucial moment, and the squirrel escaped up a tree, chittering what sounded like mockery. Evie licked her paw, humiliated and still starving. Back at the sanctuary, Taylor asked, eating much either. She'd barely slept, checking her phone every few minutes for updates. The sanctuary had set up a dedicated hotline and calls were coming in, but most were false alarms or yell meowing. People reporting their own house cats. On the fourth day, something changed there. A resident named Dorothy Patterson called The hotline. She was 73 years old and het leefde in haar modest bundelen voor 42 years. Hier is definitely a babket in my. Baker, she said with surprising calm. I saw her drinking from my bed this morning. She's limping. Poor thing. Taylor and two wildlife officers arrived within 15 minutes. Dorothy led Taylor through her house to the back window. She was right there under my lily bush. Dorothy whispered. She looked so tired. And Chen broke my heart. They found fresh tracks, and evidence that a medium seized feeling had indeed been there, but Jeff was gone. Still, BT was the most promising lead. She had. The neighborhood was only 2 mi from the sanctuary. She's circling, said Officer Jake. Reynolds, studying the map with hate, marked all confirmed sightings. See, every reported location forms area. Circle with the sanctuary at the center. She's trying to find her way home. Taylor's heart clenched with hope and anguish. She doesn't know how to get back. She's never been outside those walls. They intensified their efforts in that neighborhood, setting up material activity. Cameras on residents' properties. Dorothy Patterson insisted on helping, setting out a bowl of water on her back porch. I know you said not to feed her, Dorothy told Taylor. But water. Can't hear it, can I see? It's supposed to reach 95 градусов today. That's fine, Taylor said gratefully. Thank you for caring. The cameras caught a bit twice moreover. The next 2 days, the footage was heartbreaking. The bobcat, who had been slick and well muscled, was now visibly thin, her fair matted and dirty. In one clip, she limped across a yard, pausing to look back over her shoulder as if she heard something familiar. In another, she curled up beneath a parked car, her sides heaving with exhaustion. Taylor watched the footage until she memorized every frame. She's suffering, she said quietly, all because some drunk idiot tired. Wildlife was there for EGS entertainment. Margaret had no words of comfort that would help, so she simply sat beside Taylor in the security office, a silent presence of support. On the 7th day, it rained, not the gentle summer shower that Jeff had always enjoyed while safely tucked in her jean box, but a proper downpour that turned the streets into streams and the sky into a grey blur. Taylor stood at Levy's empty enclosure, letting the rain suck through her clothes. I'm sorry, she whispered to the empty space. I should have checked the locks twice. I should have been more careful. I should have protected you better. She did notice Margaret approaching. With an umbrella until the older woman spoke. This isn't your fault, Taylor. You gave Jeff 11 wonderful years. You gave her a life worth living when that car should have been the end of her story. What if we never find her? What if she's out there alone and scared? And I never get to tell her? Taylor's voice broke. Tell her what? That she's loved there. That she's missed. That she always had a home here and she always will. Margaret squeezed her shoulder. Bobcats are survivors, Taylor. And Jeff, you taught her that. She find her way. The rain continued into the evening. Taylor had finally gone back to her cottage, forced there by Margaret's insistence that she needed to eat and rest. She'd managed some soup and was sitting by the window watching the rain when her radio crackled. Taylor, you there? It was Marcus, one of the night security guards. Yeah, here. You might want to come to Levy's enclosure. Just come see 4 years of. Taylor's heart stopped. She grabbed the shore. Raincoat and ran through the downpour. Past the administrative building, past the education center. She sprinted. Toward the bobcat hibberted. Marker stood. By the exterior gate, BCS flashlight. Pointed inside. Taylor's breath caught in her throat. There, lying on the covered platform, where she'd spent countless sunny afternoons, was Levi. The bobcat was sucked, muddy, and painfully thin. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing slow and steady. She was home. Taylor's hands shook as she unlocked the gate and stepped inside, moving slowly. Carefully. Yes, she called swiftly. Baby girl, is that really you? The bobcat's ears twitched. One embarrassed a penny, then the other. For a long moment, animal and human simply looked at each other. Then we made a sound, not her usual greeting chirp, but a plaintive, exhausted CRY that spake of every heart. Our should spend away. I know, Taylor said, her voice thick. Whispers, I know it was hard, but you made it. You came home, she said, down on the wet concrete, giving a space, but staying close. Marcus had already called Margaret, and within minutes the director arrived there. With G.R. Sarakim, the sons to Ares, veterinarian, both of them in rain gear. Let's let her rest for a few minutes. G.R. said quietly, tell Horace. Where is scanning away for a beaver's injuries? She's alert and she came here on her. On. Toss a good sickness. She needs food, Taylor said. And water. I get sure. Already on IT. Marker said, erpering. This leaves regular football field. With her favorite rabbit meat and a fresh bowl of water. Taylor placed both. Both switching with rich and stepped back. The bobcat watched her, then slowly rose to her feet. The limp was more pronounced than before. Same days of walking on terrain had taken their toll, but she moved to the foot with purpose and the sound of her eating was the most beautiful thing Taylor had heard in a week. Living the wildlife isn't easy. Higher, girl. Taylor whispered, unable to stop smiling. The spit is the tears running down her face. Elvie ate until the bowl was clean, drank deeply, then limped to her gin box. Before disappearing inside, she looked back at Taylor one more time and made that soft rumbling purr that she reserved for moments of deep contentment. The examination the next morning revealed what he'd expected: dehydration, weight loss, and some new scratches and scrapes, but nothing that old didn't heal. Elvis' bad leg was sorry but not re-injured. More remarkably, her spirit seemed unbroken. After G.R. Kim finished the exam, Evie retreated to her cave and slept for 16 hours straight. The media loved the happy ending. Bobcat returns home. After year-long adventure, the headlines read, Dorothy Patterson became a minor celebrity, proudly showing the camera footage of Evie drinking from her bird. Bad talks. I just knew that baby needed help, Dorothy told the reporters. Animals know where they belong to. The Sunstuare's phone rang off the hook. With yellow shares, donations poured in, enough to upgrade security systems across the entire facility. Margaret Ernst had been among their new camera system, the EVI alert protocol. As for James Miller, he appeared in court 2 weeks later looking appropriately ashamed. The judge wasn't sympathetic. In addition to station for criminal trespassing and vandalism, Miller was ordered to serve 30 days in county jail. Perform 200 hours of community service at an animal shelter and pay restitution to the sanctuary for all costs associated with the search and medical care. Wildlife is not your entertainment, Amir Miller, the judge said sternly. Your daughter's actions could have caused an animal her life and endangered your community. Your future needs the story hit a happy ending. Taylor attended the hearing wanting to see justice served. But as she sat in the courtroom, she found she had little anger left. All her energy was focused on Yivi's recovery. And what a recovery it was. Within 2 weeks, Evie had regained most of her lost weight. Her coat regained its luster after a few good grooming sessions. They knew scratches healed into faint scars that would forever be souvenirs of her impellent adventure. But something else had changed there, too. Levi, who had always been somewhat aloof, even with Taylor, now greeted her. Keeper with enthusiastic chirps every morning. She'd always enjoyed their enrichment sessions, but now she seemed to savor every moment. Whether Taylor was hiding foot around the enclosure or simply sitting nearby talking about her day, it's like she appreciates everything. Mortok, Taylor told Margaret one afternoon as they watched Evie expertly climbing her favorite tree. Her movements confident the speech is a bad leg. Like she learned something out there. Maybe she learned what you already know. Margaret said that home isn't just a place